News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
KVNU News Time is 4:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Cache Valley Pharmacy. The mission for the Utah Division of Water Resources is to conserve, develop, and protect Utah's water resources. An article this week noted that one reservoir, Deer Creek, between Heber City and Provo, supplies water to nearly half of Utah's population. Even more surprising is that with some upgrades, it could actually continue to do so for the next 40 to 50 years. On KVNU's For the People program on Thursday, Joel Williams, Assistant Director, explained how that can happen.
Utah County, Salt Lake County, Summit County, they get a portion of their water comes through that reservoir, and so amazingly, they are serving 1.5 million people some of their water, and so a project like that, completed in 1941, is reaching 80 years in age, and there's parts of it that are kind of, they've hit their design life.
He said one of the things that need replacing is the actual intake structure that allows the water to be taken out of the dam and put into systems for use. Normally, Williams said they might lower the reservoir, but with so many people depending on the water, that is not possible.
So they took a really innovative approach and said, what if we had divers go in and do all of the work underwater? And we're talking like removing old parts, installing new parts, pouring new concrete, and doing all of this underwater.
Wow.
And so it's a really innovative approach. We were amazed when they came and said, this is what we think we'd like to do. And they approached, the Board of Water Resources saying, we think this project's going to cost $60 million. Is there a way that the Board of Water Resources could help fund part of that?
He said the Water Board has a revolving fund that it can use that has funded over 1,500 water projects across the state over the last 75 years. Williams said the 3-year project could extend the life of the reservoir for perhaps another 80 years and aid in water conservation. And the model could also be used for other heavy-use reservoirs in the state. KVNU News Time is 4:07. KVNU weather for tonight, mostly clear, cooler areas of smoke tonight. Overnight low around 50, and unfortunately, it looks like the smoke is just going to hang out all weekend. Areas of smoke Saturday through Sunday. Other than that, some hazy sunshine and mid-80s for the high tomorrow. Lower 90s on Sunday and no rain in the forecast. 75 has been our high. It's 74 now at KVNU. KVNU weather is brought to you by CBD7 Full Spectrum Water Soluble CBD and features the highest absorbing CBD formula on the market. Try several delicious flavors that are completely natural. Order CBD7 online or look for the big pink CBD7 sign, 473 South Main in Logan.
This is Phil with Cache Valley Pharmacy. We love being in Cache Valley and want to thank you for your support. Cache Valley Pharmacy features the best prices in the valley, and as always, free delivery. If you're in the market for prescriptions, check first with Cache Valley Pharmacy for the absolute best prices, especially on compounds and insulin. We've been doing pharmacy better than anyone else in the valley with free delivery valley-wide for the last 19 years. Cache Valley Pharmacy, the pharmacy delivery experts. Order your prescriptions online at cachevalleypharmacy.com.
KVNU News Time is 4:08. A stolen Mini Cooper that had been missing since 2017 was recovered from Pineview Reservoir on Thursday. Officials with the Weber County Sheriff's Office report that officers were dispatched in the area near 5500 East SR 39. The caller stated that they saw a vehicle upside down in the water. Weber County's office search and rescue divers located the car and found nobody was inside. Upon further investigation, officials learned the car had been stolen back in 2017. They report the car appeared to have been in the water for an extended period of time. And prosecutors in Idaho say they will seek the death penalty against a couple in the killings of the wife's 2 youngest children and the husband's previous wife in a convoluted case involving doomsday religious beliefs and another suspicious death in Arizona. The prosecutors made the announcement in court filings on Thursday. They argued that all three murders were especially heinous and cruel, and that they were done for financial gain, and that Lori Vallow Daybell and Chad Daybell are likely to be a continuing threat to society. Chad Daybell has pleaded not guilty to the charges, and Lori Daybell has not yet entered a plea and is undergoing mental health treatment. KVNU News Time is 4:10. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
News Talk KVNU 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Pristine wilderness can still be found in the West, where creeks run freely and historic apple trees still bear fruit. Maple Creek Ranch.
Trouble with pain, sleep, or anxiety?
Canyon views and opportunities for real estate development. 2.5-acre lots are now available with adjacent wilderness areas that provide endless riding and recreational possibilities. So find your piece of paradise just 35 minutes from Logan at Maple Creek Ranch. Schedule your appointment online at maplecreekranch.net.
Trouble with pain, sleep, or anxiety? Want better health? Try CBD7, the CBD experts. You simply can't get this water-soluble CBD at grocery, convenience, or health food stores. Water-soluble CBD7 absorbs 15 times better and tastes great. CBD7 has the only clinically proven formula with real measurable results. Many feel better in minutes. CBD7 is not a drug and has no side effects. Other CBDs just can't do all that. Visit CBD7 today. Learn about CBD and try our best for free.
Steel-coated floors of Cache Valley was voted Best of Northern Utah in the Remodeler Contractor category. They thank you for your vote. If you want to have a garage floor look amazing, contact Steel-Coated Floors. You'll love the results. Find them online at steelcoatedfloors.com.
For the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cache Republican Party, meeting an executive committee tonight
With Jason Williams.
and I'm really excited about this next segment. We have two guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVN News for the People. It is a nice Friday afternoon, August 6th. I'm Jason Williams. Bill Walter here in the studio as well. A lot of ground to cover, and with the movie show coming up at 5, we've only got for this first hour some of the headlines and some of the items we didn't get to this week on the show so far. One of those, of course, is the remarks made by Governor Cox at this week's coronavirus task force briefing. These happen every other week. This week, instead of on Thursday, it was on Tuesday. So a lot of people, this kind of flew under the radar. But until, I should say, the governor's final few remarks, just preceding the Q&A portion and the other speakers as part of this briefing, the governor made a few remarks that raised some eyebrows. We'll be getting to those in a bit. The governor said, when asked about the CDC guidance this week, that people return to wearing masks indoors, even if vaccinated, but mainly to protect those who are choosing to be unvaccinated. The governor was asked about that, and he said, I'm grateful that people would step up in that way for their friends and neighbors and for the community to put a mask on, even though the CDC is basically saying for their own health they don't need to anymore. But the governor said, and this is a quote, I got to be honest with you, I don't know if I'm one of those people. I'm really done with it. I'm not very excited to sacrifice some more to protect someone who just doesn't seem to care. Those comments, of course, made some headlines, but we'll bring you those comments in the governor's own words, but also with the preceding context and follow-up. It's worth hearing. Also an update from the Utah Hospital Association's President Greg Bell as part of this briefing this week. We've got a few clips of that as well, explaining despite the fact that the numbers are smaller than they were back in the worst of the pandemic for Utah, which was November, December, and January of last year and early this, but the percentage of positive tests and the percentage of the shrinking percentage of open hospital beds, why it's so concerning. There a couple of reasons for that. Greg Bell said the primary reason, of course, is the healthcare workforce here in Utah, burned out from the last 18 months, has shrunk. They don't have enough staff to operate if the hospital beds start filling up like they did last fall. We'll hear all the clips, and the governor, again, his remarks that raised some eyebrows in his own words with the full context. That's coming up in just a bit, but I did want to point people to this. Coming up next week here on the show, a lot of things confirmed a bit early here this week, and one I'm very excited about. We'll be getting to just some highlights from some of their videos that they have on their website later on in this hour, but earlier this week at the Logan City Council meeting, a report was presented to the City Council titled The Power of Public Plazas, and it was produced by an organization called the Destination Development Association. The name implying, of course, that you build through development destinations to bring people in and keep them in, keep their wallets open. Let's be frank, that's what a lot of this is about. It's good for local economies, good for local downtowns. It was a fascinating look at not only the potential future of Logan's downtown. Of course, that's why the Logan City Council was discussing it, but also the overall possibilities of downtown Logan, downtown in every little city. So I reached out to this organization. I found out that the author of this research, I found out a couple of things. How they do the research is really interesting, very interesting, from secret shopping to monitoring traffic to surveying to just really interesting. But also I found out that the author of this research presented to the council this week has done consulting that's led to some of the coolest plazas. If you've been to Caldwell, Idaho recently, he did that plaza, helped design it at least with his consultation. The big plaza that you saw during the Olympics in British Columbia, this is pretty cool. And Parowan, Utah, helped them retool their downtown around a famous cinnamon roll restaurant. Just some really cool stories. Well, I just confirmed before the hour started here that he will be able to join us next week. So next week on the show, we'll be speaking with the founder of the Destination Development Association, a nonprofit organization, and author of the report, The Power of City Plazas, downtown plazas specifically in this case, as presented to Logan City Council this week. That's coming up next week here on the show, but you'll hear a bit from him and some of the ways they conduct their research and consultation later on in the hour. You'll also hear from Governor Cox here in just a bit. We didn't get to this earlier in the week, though it deserves the attention. Governor Cox making some eyebrow-raising comments during his coronavirus task force briefing this week that some called cold-hearted, even mean. Well, the governor has defended, saying, I meant what I said, and I stand by it, regarding the request from the CDC that vaccinated people, in the governor's words, quote, take another one for the team because of those not pulling their weight and getting vaccinated. Harsh words from the governor, but we'll bring the comments to you in their full context and let you decide whether people should be as upset as they seem to be after the press conference earlier this week. All of that coming up here in Hour 1, followed by the For the People movie show with Andy Morgan of AndyAtTheMovies.com. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more of For the People right after this.
This is Governor Spencer Cox. Right now, we're facing our state's worst drought on record. If we continue to drain our water supplies at the current rate, we won't have enough for our future needs. So I want to thank the residents, businesses, and other institutions that have taken steps to slow the flow. Utah, now's the time to unite in our effort to water less. Please visit slowtheflow.org today to learn ways that you can take action.
Procrastination isn't a valid retirement strategy. If your saving for a retirement approach involves the phrase, I'll get around to it someday, it's time to make someday into today. Edward Jones can help. Contact your local Edward Jones financial advisor to get started today. Visit edwardjones.com or stop by your local Edward Jones office. When it comes to meeting your retirement goals, time can be on your side, and there's no better time than now. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Kashinka. Monday on This Morning, America's First News. Why Democratic leaders across the country are sounding the alarm about the impact of the raft of new voting laws passed by Republican legislatures. Law schools are losing their luster as debts mount and salaries stagnate, and how real refunds for canceled flights could help fix flying. That's Monday on This Morning, America's First News.
Monday morning from 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news, weather, and sports.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Something I intended to get to on the show almost all week long. This actually happened on Tuesday, but time just kept running out. We had some amazing guests towards the latter half of the week. You just couldn't say no to the timing of being able to get all of these people on, from Joel Williams of the Utah Division of Water Resources. If you missed that yesterday, talking reservoirs, how they're looking here in Utah, where some new ones maybe could go. What'll it cost to upgrade them and keep them viable as a water resource over the next 50 to 75 years? All of that part of our conversation yesterday. You can take a second to listen via the podcast at kvnutalk.com or by searching for KVNU's For the People on the Podcastic Service website. Either way will get you there. You can subscribe there and more, never miss an episode. That was the most recent interview stuck in my head. Many more coming up next week, including the author of a report presented to Logan City Council this week, titled The Power of Downtown Plazas. But even more fascinating than the report itself is how they conduct this research. And the author of that report will be joining us next week on the show. But with a little pause in between here on Friday, I wanted to make sure and include some of the remarks made at this week's Coronavirus Task Force briefing. These usually happen every other Thursday. This week it was on Tuesday. I'm not sure why. No explanation was really offered on that. But the governor, Governor Cox, was joined by former Lieutenant Governor, interestingly enough, Greg Bell, also a former state lawmaker, who is now president of the Utah Hospital Association. Very nice man. Had him here on the show, and when he was Lieutenant Governor there for a bit. And in his current role, he speaks for, well, the private and, in a couple of cases, state-subsidized hospital system representatives and organizations out there. And this week during the Coronavirus Task Force briefing, most of the attention went to a comment Governor Cox made that caught many people off guard, including me. When he first said it, I thought, oh, no, did I hear that? It wasn't a controversial statement necessarily, but it was an elected official putting in words something that a lot of us have been thinking, but maybe not saying outright because we didn't want to seem cold-hearted, right? The governor just said it this week. We'll get to his remarks in a bit, but the real meat of the Coronavirus Task Force update this week, as far as this growing concern, grown concern at this point, that we are about to see what we saw last year of. Late summer, early fall resurgence, which last year led us into one of the worst periods of the pandemic for the state of Utah as it played out through November, December, and January. Fear that restrictions on businesses are going to have to come back, that we're going to see the last of our summer shut down. If the numbers continue to grow, it's just not safe for everyone to be out there. The governor was here this week to remind us that, no, in his own words, that isn't happening. Primarily because enough people are vaccinated, he said it doesn't need to happen. Secondarily, he said, because this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. Sounds harsh, right? The governor elaborated on what he meant by that. We'll get to that in a bit. But to kind of set the stage for the governor's remarks, here is what president of the Utah Hospital Association, Greg Bell, and former lieutenant governor himself, had to say as far as what they're seeing in hospitals as far as hospitalizations go. Short version, it's a much younger crowd, but because it's a much younger and much more concentrated crowd, they're actually seeing this become quite a burden on the hospital association or the hospitals throughout the state, including already turning down some elected surgeries and referrals. Why? Well, here is Utah Hospital Association President Greg Bell in his own words this week.
And some of July and in the latter part of July, the Delta variant started to take hold, and we went from 10% of our ICU capacity being COVID patients to now, as of Sunday, 30% of ICUs are now full of COVID patients. Now notice the general occupancy hovers around 70% and goes up now to 86, trending to 90. Well, why is this so high when COVID is so low? Because in summer, people have rock climbing accidents and car accidents and have trauma incident to recreational activities, boating, whatever. We have our normal load of end-stage renal failure, heart attacks, strokes, the medical calamities that unfortunately befall people in life. And so our summer season is very, very busy. We're stacked. And now you add another 30 going perhaps to 35, 40%. If we hit the other peak, it will be almost half of our ICU beds. We can't handle it. So this common resource of these wonderful hospitals with tremendous technology and incredible caregivers are starting to max out. The governor alluded to the question, well, why? Why can't we just tool up like we did 7 months ago? Well, intensive care is aptly named. It's an intense environment. Caregivers work 12-hour shifts through the night, through the day, and often in crises, they stay an hour, 2, 3, 4 hours. Then they're asked to take extra shifts to fill in for those who are ill or for vacancies in the workforce. This is a difficult profession, and nobody can make them do it. They do it not for the pay. They do it because they're devoted. Most of them have a mission. They're altruistic professionals. But many have left the profession. They're done. They're burned out. They've gone home. They've gone to other jobs. They're highly skilled. They can go elsewhere in the medical profession where they don't have this constant pressure. And some of them are just burned out.
That was, again, former Lieutenant Governor, current president of the Utah Hospital Association, Greg Bell, speaking on the situation in Utah when it comes to hospitals, ICU beds, and more. It's spiking again. And as he pointed out, the numbers are relatively low as far as the percentage of tests is high. That's concerning. That's how all this started about the same time last summer when we entered the worst phase of the pandemic for Utah. Governor Cox maintains that's not our future, regardless of what happens next. But he said the reason it's not our future is vaccinated people. And Governor Cox said these were the remarks that after Greg Bell spoke during the Q&A, Governor Cox made these remarks. These are the remarks that raised a lot of eyebrows. Because, again, a lot of people have been thinking this, myself included, but no one wants to sound cold-hearted or to be cold-hearted and say, well, I made my choice to get vaccinated. I'm protected. Best of luck to you who decided not to. But the governor said that's basically the situation we're in. We're being asked at this point to put our masks back on, maybe see some restrictions on social gatherings and business activities come back, maybe even lose a few events that were tentatively planned and now won't happen out of concern for public safety, because the governor said people are choosing to keep themselves at risk and extend the pandemic. And the governor said, well, I'll just let the governor explain it, his thoughts on this in his own words.
We've talked about people who are willing to get vaccinated and people who want nothing to do with the vaccine. There's still a fairly significantly large group of people who are kind of on the fence. And as cases were coming down, they thought, well, if I can not get vaccinated and we reach herd immunity, great. That's kind of their sweet spot. And they thought they were there as cases were plummeting and hospitalizations were going down. And now they realize that they're not there, and so they're at risk. And so those are the people that we're really trying to reach, and where we are having some success. And so that seeing that 5,000 increase just over last week, 27,000 people, those are pretty good numbers. Again, we'd like to see them 30, 40,000, upwards of 50,000 50,000, back where we were when in April and May. But we'll take it. We'll take that increase, and that's really our strategy. Now, the other thing I want to say is this: there's so much we don't know. I wish there was more humility in all of this. I wish. Everyone seems so sure of themselves, and if there's one thing we should have learned over the past 18 months is that nobody knows anything, and we've all been wrong about this at one point or another. And what we have seen with the Delta variant in the UK, we saw it in India, in Israel, is that as quickly as it goes up, it turns around and starts going back down. And so no one knows exactly how far into this Delta variant wave that we are right now. The good news, I will add to the data that was shared on where Utah fits with this Delta variant wave. If there's any good news, it's that as a percent increase over the last 14 days, Utah's at the bottom. So we've seen about a 40% increase over the last 2 weeks, where other states are seeing a 300 or 400% increase. So we're hopeful that means that we're nearing a crest and coming back the other way. But it could be that it's just a pause and we're going to shoot right back up again.
The governor said that despite this, his office and reporting on his conversations with the legislature, he said there are no plans for additional restrictions. And that's when the governor kind of took off the nice gloves.
This pandemic literally wore them out. So many of them have left, which means that even though we have beds, we don't have personnel to take care of those beds. As such, we are reaching our capacity. Our hospitalization capacity is full. And this is when, again, while it's almost all unvaccinated people that are here in the hospitals, now it's starting to impact everyone, because we're now starting to have to delay surgeries to keep hospital space available for people who aren't willing to get vaccinated. That's why we're doing this today. That's why we're here. Greg Bell is here to talk more about that. I know the CDC has recommended masks for indoor gatherings, and I appreciate people. Masks are required here at St. Mark's inside, and you're wearing those masks. We will likely have more businesses that require masks, and that is absolutely their right to do so. And everyone should abide by those requests and wear masks where required to do so. The frustrating thing is that they're doing this not because those of us that are vaccinated need to wear masks to protect ourselves. They're doing this because our hospitals are filling up, and we're going to hear more about that. We had throughout this, we had all sacrificed for the common good. We all wear masks to keep everyone safe, even if we're not that at risk. That's not what this is about now. Probably nobody in this audience right now needs to wear a mask to keep us all safe. The reason you're asked to wear masks is that there is a small amount of breakthrough cases, still very, very small amount of breakthrough cases. We know that could then be passed on to someone who is unvaccinated. So the CDC is asking all of you who are vaccinated to take one for the team once again to protect people who are not vaccinated, but who have the opportunity to do so. Also, I'm guessing that the Venn diagram of people who are vaccinated or unvaccinated and willing to wear a mask is very, very slim, if at all. And so I'm grateful that there are people who are willing to sacrifice and wear masks again to protect the unvaccinated. I got to be honest with you, I don't know if I'm one of those people. I'm really tired. I'm really done with it. And I'm not real excited to have to sacrifice to protect someone who doesn't seem to care. But I'm glad that there are some people that are willing to do that. Thank you.
Those remarks, understandably, made the headlines, raised a few eyebrows, but the governor basically saying and reiterating again later when asked, I am tired of sacrificing myself and seeing the business community sacrifice and seeing the economy sacrifice and seeing individuals go without, having full access to things from arts and entertainment to just being able to get back to normal life because, as the governor said, some people just don't care. He said he's done with it. After that, the governor was photographed in several places without a mask on, holding true, saying, hey, I'm vaccinated. We're being asked one to take the team for those who choose to not do their part. The governor reiterating again in a second question, asking if he meant what he said. Yes, he did. Check it out. You can watch the full press conference via the governor's Facebook page. It was an interesting one, to say the least. I've linked to that on our Facebook page, and we'll be back with more of For the People right after the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 4:35. This look at the news brought to you by U&I Furniture. The criminal case against a 24-year-old Logan man is headed to trial. Jaden A. Miller was arrested in January for allegedly raping a teenage girl. Miller participated in a virtual hearing in 1st District Court Monday morning. He was previously charged with rape, a first-degree felony, forcible sexual abuse, a second-degree felony, and lewdness involving a child, a Class A misdemeanor. In October 2020, prosecutors filed the criminal case against Miller. The crimes allegedly occurred around July 2019. Miller waived his right to a preliminary hearing in April, pleading not guilty to the charges. At the time, public defender Shannon Demler told the court they were working on a possible plea deal. Court records show Judge Brandon Maynard scheduled the 3-day jury trial to begin November 17th. He also ordered Miller to appear for a final pre-trial conference on November 1st. Miller is currently out of jail on pre-trial supervision. He could face up to life in prison if convicted. The Utah County Sheriff's Search and Rescue Team and the Utah Department of Public Safety Aero Bureau coordinated to rescue a hiker who spent nearly a day stranded in a remote area near Lone Peak. KUTV reports the woman was stuck in a steep and rocky area and called for assistance Thursday afternoon. Lieutenant John Valentine with Utah County Sheriff's Search and Rescue said the area is notorious for being a bad area where they are usually several times every summer. Many places it's very loose, so people think they're on an edge, and all of a sudden the edge gives way. Because of the danger in that area, the ground team requested a hoist assist from the Department of Public Safety helicopter. The helicopter team was able to fly her down to the base camp around 7:45 p.m. Valentine said the rescue was not without its challenges. One of the search and rescue members got attacked by a hornet's nest and got stung a number of times. Valentine said the team gave medical aid to that rescuer, and he's expected to be fine. And a 23-year-old Providence man has pleaded guilty to violently attacking another man inside a Logan restaurant nearly 3 years ago. Benjo Atuai accepted a plea deal that could send him to jail for up to a year. Atuai participated in a virtual hearing in 1st District Court Wednesday morning. He pleaded guilty to an amended charge of assault, a Class A misdemeanor. Cache County Deputy Attorney Barbara Lackmar explained how Atuai was at the Logan restaurant on December 29th, 2018. He got into an argument with another patron. The fight continued, and Atuai punched the other man in the head, causing several fractures to his face. The victim had to seek medical treatment. Atuai was booked into the Cache County Jail following the fight. He was later released after posting $10,000 bond. The case has been postponed, partially due to the coronavirus pandemic. Atuai did not provide any details to the court about what prompted the fight during Wednesday's hearing. He spoke briefly through a Samoan interpreter, saying he was waiving his right to a trial and pleading guilty. Mostly clear, cooler tonight with the smoke with us tonight and really all weekend long. Overnight low tonight around 50. Hazy sunshine tomorrow into the mid-80s. Very smoky, 74 right now at KVNU. At Adams Wealth Advisors, expect specific guidance from advisors that adhere to principles of honesty, professionalism, and integrity. Visit adamswealthadvisors.com to schedule a time with an advisor today. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com. We'll check Wall Street with Edward Jones next.
People love shopping at UNI Furniture. They know they're going to get a great price on a quality piece of furniture. And one section of the store is Chair Heaven, where UNI has a big selection of rocker recliners, power recliners, big chairs, chairs for the petite, swivel chairs, accent chairs, lift chairs, all kinds of chairs. UNI works hard to have the inventory you're looking for. In fact, they order new furniture on almost a daily basis to keep stocked up. So if you need a sofa love, sectional, a new dining room set, stop in and see why there really is always a better buy at UNI Furniture in downtown Logan at 28 West First North.
This is Rochelle Hanks bringing you the Daily Financial Market Report on behalf of financial advisor John Arnold and Edward Jones for Friday, August 6th. The July jobs report was front and center earlier today, with investors assessing the data through the lens of monetary policy implications. The U.S. economy added 943,000 jobs, the most in 11 months, while payrolls for the previous 2 months were revised higher by 119. The unemployment rate dropped to 5.5% from June's 5.9%, more than expected, and the underemployment rate, which includes part-time workers who want a full-time job, continued to improve, declining to 9.2% from 9.8%. The job gains were broad-based across goods producing and service industries, with the government also adding 240,000 payrolls, mostly in education. The leisure and hospitality sector once again accounted for the bulk of the gains, adding 380,000 jobs. Despite recent growth, unemployment in leisure and hospitality remains about 10% lower than its peak in February 2020. However, it's recovering fast, helped by the wide availability of vaccines and resurgence in economic activity. Today's job report provides further evidence that momentum in the labor market is building and shortages might be easing, a positive for economic growth for the remainder of the year. U.S. equities closed higher today. The Dow closed up 144 points to 35,209. The Nasdaq closed down 59 points at 14,836. The S&P closed up 7 points at 4,437. And in the bond market, 10-year Treasury yields are trading at 1.3%. In stocks of local interest, Thermo Fisher is down $4.15 to $538.20. Home Depot is down $3.27 to $329.84. Autoliv is up 96 cents to $99.21. Lowe's is down 52 cents to $190.16. Walmart is down 26 cents to $145.23. Nucor is up $2.80 to $104.31. Coca-Cola is up 14 cents to $56.14. Kroger is down 12 cents to $41.75. General Electric is up $1.50 to $104.54, and R.R. Donnelley & Sons is up 6 cents to $5.74. In commodity markets, the price of crude oil was down $1.03 at $68.06, and the spot price of gold was down $47 to $1,762.10. This has been today's Financial Market Report, brought to you on behalf of Edward Jones, member SIPC, and financial advisor John Arnold, serving individual investors with personalized attention and financial services at 1202 South Highway 89 in Logan. If you would like additional information, please contact any of our 7 Edward Jones offices in Logan, Providence, and Smithfield. Daily commentary is also located on our website at edwardjones.com.
If you think it's expensive to hire a professional, just wait until you hire an amateur.
Why the heck is the roof leaking? Larry, you said you got it fixed.
I thought it was fixed, Donna. Everything was fine until it started raining.
Larry, that's the point of fixing the roof, is so we can actually live here when it's stormy outside.
This is David with Roof Rescue. Our experienced roofing team is tried and true and will fix your roof guaranteed. Visit roofrescueusa.com to schedule your free roof inspection. Roof Rescue, providing watertight peace of mind.
Adams Wealth Advisors puts clients first under any circumstance. No matter what the financial world may be doing, you will receive peace of mind with Adams Wealth Advisors.
This is Craig Adams. At Adams Wealth Advisors, we are here to help you receive peace of mind whether you've done a lot of planning or a little planning. Count on our team at Adams Wealth Advisors for honesty, professionalism, and integrity.
Schedule a time with an advisor today. Call us at 752-1702 or visit adamswealthadvisors.com. That's adamswealthadvisors.com.
What if the second deadliest cancer in men and women could be prevented? Would you try to avoid the pain? And what if you could protect yourself without leaving your home? Colorectal cancer is highly preventable. Screening is important, safe, and most people have options. Ask your doctor which screening test is right for you. Learn more from the Colorectal Cancer Alliance at getscreened.org.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. I'm really excited about this planned for next week, just confirmed before the show today, but I'd already planned to bring you some highlights on the show today of his words and presentations. But next week on the show, we'll be speaking to a man named Roger Brooks. You've probably never heard of him, but if you've been listening to our show this week, or if you were at Logan City's council meeting on Tuesday, you probably heard the name of the nonprofit organization Destination Development Association. The name, exactly as it sounds, of the nonprofit implies and aptly describes their work. Their goal, this team of people headed up by Roger Brooks, founder of the Destination Development Association, is to consult with cities, counties, neighborhoods, even at times throughout the country on planning for the future, but planning for the future as it comes to development, how you design things, the layout of things, and more. Roger often argues in the videos I've recently watched, just discovering his stuff this week, is really key. If it's not planned well, nothing else you do will work. If the streets don't work right, if there's too much parking or too little parking, if there's not enough walking space or places for people to just sit down and enjoy downtown, they don't stay downtown. It's some amazing stuff, and so I reached out after I saw this information as presented to the city council. I saw the Power of Downtown Plaza's report as presented as presented at city council. Then I reached out. I was curious. So I talked to them, and they agreed they'd come on the show next week and talk more about how they do their research, which involves, I've just learned, everything from secret shopping in downtown areas to driving around themselves to surveying people out on the street. They said they try to look at it from three different perspectives: a traveler coming through, a resident in downtown, and a business owner either located in downtown already or looking to locate in a downtown somewhere. And they look at it from those three perspectives as they do their research before they submit the final report. Again, this is a nonprofit organization, so why does Roger do this? Well, this is where things got really cool, and I decided he was a perfect guest for our show next week. Roger used to be involved with the music industry, and he has traveled the world and did so for decades with bands like Fleetwood Mac and others. He was a tour promoter, he was a tour planner, he was a tour producer at times, just amazing stuff. And he said he'd been everywhere, and what he realized is that some towns were fun to be in and others not. And then he realized there was a reason for that, and it usually had to do with their downtown and their nightlife. So that's where he got his start and founded Destination Development Association. And yes, he is consulting Logan City, at least in a removed way, supplying some information at their request on downtown, this downtown plaza that's underway in Logan City and more, helping local business leaders understand how this is going to change things. And, of course, everyone's hoping for the positive, but you got to take some risks here and there, right? It's pretty fascinating stuff, to be honest with you. Roger Brooks will be with us next week, so you'll hear him in his own words. But as part of today's show, I wanted to bring everybody just a little bit of a taste of this because I was told by his staff when we arranged this interview, they said, you've got to check out the YouTube channel. He has hundreds of YouTube videos that he's made over the years, ranging on everything from how to pack for a 2-week vacation with only a carry-on bag, something he learned, I assume, during his days with the tour industry and the music industry. But he's also got some more detailed stuff that I guess would be more appropriate for city planners, planning commissions and things like that, where he's talking about designing outdoor spaces in the right way to keep people downtown and keep them spending money at local shops and things like that. Again, this organization, Destination Development Association, has consulted large cities, British Columbia, and that Olympic Plaza there they helped with, to Parowan, Utah. They helped here in Parowan, Utah, the city rebrand itself and market itself around one single downtown business that was famous regionally. I've heard of them, I know, but a business that is famous for their cinnamon rolls. Well, they decided to rebrand the entire town of Parowan and its downtown as that because their goal was to get tourists stopping in and spending money. Well, get this, it worked. It worked so much, in fact, that they were worried for a while it was too successful. They managed to adapt and invite the tourists in every season this year, thanks to this branding and retooling of downtown in this way. So this is what Roger does. This was just a little clip from one of his most recent YouTube videos that is dealing with how downtown businesses and downtown planners can think about things. The video said, looking to the future post-COVID. What did the pandemic change as far as downtowns go? And there's this portion of the video where he, not speaking specifically about Cache Valley, he touches on some things that have been conundrums here in Cache Valley forever, especially for downtown businesses. I've heard more than one business owner say directly to me, I wish we just knew the secret to getting the student body of USU here for 9 months out of the year at least, downtown spending money. We've never been able to really tap into that resource as much as we know is there. This is actually something that Destination Development Association and Roger Brooks had actually spoken about.
It's the best thing you can do because downtowns are about creating a sense of community. It is your third place. And if you haven't heard that before, the third place, the first place, here it is, your third place, your nucleus, your hub. And that's so important. Our first place is our home. That's always going to be our first place. And right now we're spending an awful lot of time in our home, that first place. The second place is the place we work. Now, sometimes right now during COVID, that second place might be a separate room in your house where you do go to work. But when we get post-COVID, that's the second place. And the third place is the place we go to hang out. This is the age of third places. Starbucks built an entire brand around the creation of third places. So there you go with that. It is your litmus test. But your downtowns help reduce the tax burden placed on your local residents. How much is your downtown worth? If you were to take the assessed value of it, I hope it's 30%, but many downtowns are worth 15%, and that means your residents are carrying the burden of your tax base. You want your commercial downtown to really carry a better portion of that to relieve the tax pressure on your residents. So the good news is anything you invest in downtown is an investment, not an expense. It is more important than creating local parks or sports fields or local amenities. And I'm not saying those aren't important. I mean, if you're the sports capital of Colorado, absolutely. But generally speaking, your downtown is so critical to your success. As a matter of fact, I've been working with Governor Doug Burgum in North Dakota. And Main Street is his very top priority of his 5 top strategic plans. Here's the thing, in North Dakota, they have 90,000 jobs available that pay 6 figures. But the general perception is, why would we move to North Dakota? So his top priority is downtown, it's Main Street, so that he can beef up the quality of life so that North Dakota is known for something other than frozen tundra.
That was just a part of the presentation by Roger Brooks, part of and founder of the Destination Development Association, a nonprofit organization, speaking about downtowns. But it gives you an idea of what you can expect. He'll be joining us on the show next week. I find this stuff fascinating because when we're talking downtowns, we're talking about a convergence of psychology, human behavior, and business and government planning. And so I've always been fascinated by this because, as Roger says there in that clip from the video, downtowns are a hub. I've never heard his expression of it being the third spot. You have your home, your place of work, and then somewhere else you go on the weekend or in the evenings, and it's going to be some third spot somewhere, right? And you're going to go back there again and again if you have a good experience. He's arguing in the video, make your downtown the third spot. Unique way to think about it. But I know that when I've traveled, when we all travel, we have this experience. When we are here on the weekends without plans but looking for some, we have this experience. So it's fascinating to me what draws people downtown. And he also makes a kind of controversial argument in which he says, there's this thinking that, you have a store and you have the 2 or 3 parking spots in front of it. and those parking spots are gold. You never let them go. He says, we need to let that go. And we need to say to businesses, is your product or service not worth a 2-block walk? Because if it is, you're going to have more people willing to walk the 2 blocks into a walkable downtown than those 3 spots are bringing in any day of the week. It's an interesting concept, but you can understand why it might be a bit controversial. It's also something that makes perfect sense if you think about it. We'll let him explain it in his own words, but again, a fascinating organization that was part of the discussion at City Council meeting in Logan this week because of their report, The Power of Downtown Plazas. It was discussed by City Council and has been part of the city's research in informing themselves as they plan downtown and more. That's what tipped me off to the existence of this nonprofit group, and I reached out after finding some of these videos and finding them fun to watch. And Roger Brooks, founder of Destination Development Associates, will be our guest next week on the show, probably Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll have a firm date to announce at the start of show Monday. So just a reminder, the For the People movie show coming up in just a bit with Andy Morgan of AndyAtTheMovies.com, but we'll finish out with the last few minutes of hour 1 of today's show right after this.
Honey, cover your eyes. Now step outside so I can show you your birthday present.
Okay.
Now, open your eyes. Happy birthday, a new car.
Oh, wow, hey, look at the neighbor's shrubs. Did they just have them trimmed and shaved?
Yeah, but the car, it's red, your favorite color.
They trimmed those huge oak trees, too. Look at their...
Honey, the car, do you like it?
Yes, thank you. But I can't believe how good the neighbor's yard looks. It's like something out of a magazine.
Next year, I'm calling Whole Tree Care for your birthday. I'll save a bunch of money, too.
Call Whole Tree Care, 760-6587. Ask about the radio discount for trimming and shaping trees and shrubs. They also do tree and stump removal. Call 760-6587. Serving all of northern Utah and southeast Idaho. Online at WholeTreeCare.com.
Hey, it's Al Lewis. It's finally summertime, but if you struggle with CPAP, you might not be getting the sleep you need to get outside and enjoy your favorite summer activities. Fortunately, there's a treatment that will give you the sleep you dream of called Inspire. It works inside your body with just the click of a remote. Learn more at InspireSleep.com. Inspire Sleep Apnea Innovation. No mask, no hose, just sleep. Inspire is not for everyone. Talk to your doctor to see if it's right for you. And review important safety information at InspireSleep.com.
This is Quincy Call, your 2021 Cache County Fair Junior Princess. For over 131 years, the Cache County Fair and Rodeo has been a highlight for Cache County. Wednesday, August 11th is Bronx Barrels and Breakaway. Get in on the live action August 12th through the 14th, brought to you by rodeo announcer Reed Flake. Rodeo tickets can be purchased at the Cache County Event Center and IFA Country Store. I hope to see you there.
Come on out, let's have some fun at the Cache County Fair.
Steel-coated floors of Cache Valley was voted best of Northern Utah in the remodeler contractor category. They thank you for your vote. If you want to have a garage floor look amazing, contact Steel-Coated Floors. You'll love the results. Find them online at steelcoatedfloors.com.
Monday edition, Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show back from the weekend, ready to roll. School starting to come back many different places. We've got a loaded roster of guests. Who we got coming on?
We're going to have Marty McCary, the doc who knows that the craziness about vaccine mandates needs to be put to an end. Plus, the one and only Tucker Carlson of Fox News will be in the house, folks. Going to be a great show. The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show. Tune in.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Rounding out hour 1 of today's show. Coming up in hour 2, of course, the For the People movie show with Andy Morgan of AndyAtTheMovies.com. We'll look back on summer movie season so far. How has it gone as far as the box office? What does the remainder of summer movie season, still about 3 or 4 weeks left in that, maybe 5 or 6 for being generous, what does it look like? What can we expect? And also, the Suicide Squad in theaters, is it really living up to the hype? Or are people so desperate for something like this that their critics included giving it a bit more of a thumbs up than it deserves? We'll talk about it all in hour 2 of today's show, coming up right after this here on KVNU Logan.
Following the big stories, News Talk KVNU, Logan. Proud to be locally owned and operated by the Cache Valley Media Group.